Your Excellency, President of OMEP World, President of OMEP Thailand, distinguished scholars, all delegates, participants, and one who really care our children. I'm very glad that this OMEP or ECCE conference is holding in Thailand for the first time. Why I'm saying that this is very lucky or very good in a sense that it reminds me of one Buddha's word. Buddha once says that, Putta Vattu Manussanang. Children are the heart of all human beings. And this is a land of Buddhism, where we care all our young little ones. Of course, all those little ones, in one sense, they are lucky to be born in this age of AI. This is the age of digital arts. This is the age of born as a native with digitals. But on the other hand, I feel so sorry for those kids that they are not learning what a real human being as they should be. We are talking about artificial intelligence and forgetting the whole idea of a real intelligence as a human being. So, this is a very good timing for us to talk about how we are going to bring up our little one who will carry on the world. For myself, I'm always saying that I don't know how long I will live, but the world will be our future generations. What can we do for our little ones? This is something we have to bear in mind very closely and very, very passionately. And that's why this conference is very important. Well, having said that, I guess there's a lot of anecdotes I can bring in front of you to let you think of a scenario where we are seeing the conflict and confusion to our children. For example, when I see a child is taught in school where you care for the environment, you care for all the ecology, and in school, the teachers teach those students, little ones said, okay, you have to care, at least starting from cleanliness. If you see the litter, okay, pick it up and put in the garbage bin. If you see the bottle, separate it, put it in the recycle bin. You are giving that sort of education for a little one from the start. But when they give to the during the weekend, when they are going around with the parents, what happened is that if the children was well taught in school, so go and pick up a litter in the street, on the street or on the park, what will happen? The parents will shout at the kid. It is not your responsibility, it's not your job, it is dirty, why you are going and pick up the litter? So this is what we are facing at the moment, a dilemma. So as a small one who is not brave enough, clever enough, knowing what is right and what is wrong, and this is what we are giving to our children. Giving one thing in the school, giving another thing in the whole school. This is the whole idea. Similarly, if you think about our little one, when we are at home, we always teach that, okay, if you have a sweet, share it with your brother, share with your sister. If someone come and say good morning, greet and get a respect to the elder. But as soon as you are put into school, you are taught that you have to compete with your friends. You have to be better than anyone else. It's all the cooperation and the competitiveness So what is right and what is wrong for the little mind? And this is what we are seeing at the moment. Not only that, these days, there are so many mobile devices and stimulus from everywhere. We have all these gadgets, not only one, many. And the child, erudite mind, they are always all different kinds of questions. They don't have much time to spare with your kids. And when you are asked, bombarded with questions and very, very annoying questions for us as an elder, because there's no new thing what children will ask. What they are asking is all questions which we don't want to know. We already knew that. But we are irritated with those questions. And we can't devote our time for those kids. Finally, what we do, what I see mostly, they just hand over a mobile device, an iPad or iPhone or whatever it is, and let them just play around that so you can be in peace. So this is what I'm seeing around. I guess that this is another scenario only in Thailand. I guess that it's everywhere. This is how we are bringing our children up in this world. So having said that, this is the 76th World OMEP World and Conference. For Blue, I was invited as a Buddhist monk to come and give a keynote speaker. As my CV says that I'm actually not an educator, a real educator in that sense, and I'm an anthropologist. Although I'm not from Brunei, as he said it, I'm Brunel University. Okay? It's a totally different thing. But my life as a monk, it put me very close to those kids. As a part of me as a Buddhist monk, I have to teach them, I have to inspire them, I have to bring those kids, because many parents, they don't know what to do with their kids, so sometimes they end up sending, let us look after them, because then they will have a lead headache from those kids. So in a way that I have to be in that situation, and looking at those kids, then I noticed that there's a lot of improvement. We need to think a lot on our education system per se, because the world is changing so rapidly that what we call disruptions, what is called even, there might be new word coming up again and again, but things are changing so quickly. But the education we are giving to our children is kind of a very old traditional value, which doesn't go with the real world. So there's two things. The real world is a real world up there, and we are teaching something in the past. Instead of preparing our children for the future generations, what we are doing is that we are teaching them a history lesson. We are teaching them how to, how you live this world, but not this world. We have to teach to the world ahead of us. What I see. Having said that, in Thailand, we can see that one of the beginning of education, I just want to give you a very flash reflections of how education was started here in Thailand, because this is the first OMEP conference. So I just want to draw a very small line. It's something about 100 years ago, actually. It's the time of the King Rama V. When, at the time, the Thailand was in very crisis because of the colonialism, and Thailand was kind of approached by all these mighty Western powers, and thinking that we have to develop, or we have to take over all these uncivilized countries like Thailand. And at the time, the king of Thailand, the name of this university, King Chulalongkorn, this university was named after that very king. He thought that, okay, we are not barbarism, we are not savage as the many Western thought of us. So we have to prove that we are not barbarism, we are not savage, we are civilized as all other countries are. So how can he prove? Then he find that only one way to prove is that education. Of course, at the time, there was no education. There is no formal education. There is no public education. Education was concentrated in the Buddhist temple or in the palace. For general people, there was no education. So that very king tried to form the formal education for Thailand for the first time. And that is why this university came up as a result of that. And when he studied all those curricula from the Western, from Great Britain, from France, from America, interestingly, he commented one very single word. He said that all this curriculum is corrupted. Because all this education is very egocentric. You are not teaching anyone to look after the community, look after the environment, look after this planet, but everything is I. The science is I, mathematics is I, sociology is I. So this is education I don't want it in Thailand. So he asked his brother, who was a Buddhist monk, and happened to be my predecessor in my temple, and he was a prince as well. Then he asked that what to do. So he said that very easy, Your Majesty King, because we have a temple everywhere. Without a single budget, we can instantly apply education for our nations. And he immediately came up with a new curriculum where he applied all Western educations, disciplines, but he changed it in a way that he tailored it from the moral and ethical point of view. If he has a teaching of science, the science has to be morally and ethically right. If he's teaching the mathematics, morally and ethically right. So that's become a model, first model of Thai education, which spread all around the nation. And that was through my archive in my temple, what I see that. And that was kind of a talk of the world at the time. Because I see many communications between all the Western countries. As far as I remember, there is a letter from the Prince of Prussia, the Prince of Austria, Prince of Italy, at least 3 princes, who visited Thailand at the time and requested specifically that he wanted to see that very education of Thai education, where you give this spiritual, moral, ethical mode of secular educations. And that was a first education in Thailand, emphasizing on small kids, small children. However, the good things doesn't last long, I guess. It lasted for a while. The things were secularized more and more. All the education was taken out from the temple, and it was run by the government. And finally, all those values, all those kind of something which give you a real human sense has been lessened and lessened and lessened and lessened. And this is what we are seeing at the moment. So again, in this world stage, I will ask Thai educator here. I would like to ask the Thai government represent here from Ministry of Education that why we are losing this precious model where we can build a child. What happened to the idea, the education for ECCE, education and care, to be a true human, not to be a very wise with the knowledge alone. Knowledge can take you somewhere, but can't make you a man. He won't make this world. He might able to make him rich and corrupted, but not care the world. So this is something we really needed. So in that sense, I would say that what, from Buddhist point of view, Buddhist idea, I would like to share, as this is a world stage, and then I'm the only one wearing this very odd suit here. So I would say that it just remind me of the life of the Buddha himself. How can we create our children similar to the Buddha, who can be a world leader without any power, but can be a world leader. So looking at his own life, I can give you some anecdotes that when Buddha was only 5, age of 5, which I guess that is a part of ECCE, there was a fighting between his cousin. His cousin shoot the swine, one swine, and then they run to get it, that swine. And Buddha reached there first, and then he picked it up. Of course, he took the arrow out from that swine, and then he healed it. His cousin come and says that this is mine because I shoot it. And he said, no, I won't give you. This is mine. And then they fight each other as a cousin, small boys. And they end up, because they are the princes, they end up in the court. The sage in the court asks that, why you claim that this is yours? Because the arrow was your cousin's. Yes, the Buddha answers that, yes, the arrow was from my cousin, but the right for that life should be right one who saved the life, not one who killed. But if the swine is killed, yes, I won't claim it, but I saved this one, so it should be mine. And the court end up saying that it should be the Buddha's. At the age of 5, he was able to think of that compassion. He was able to think of the life of others. At the age of 7, he was following his parents, and there was a kind of a festival, plowing festival. And when the plow dug the soil, the insects come out. When the insects come out, you see the birds come and eat the insect. And that tiny child, the Buddha, the small little Buddha, was looking at that and didn't enjoy at all. And he was thinking, why it has to be powerful man has to destroy the life of the feeble one, the weaker. So is this the world? So he took, kind of get away from that crowd, and he meditate and contemplate a lot and think that this is not right. This whole circle of eating, the big fish eating small fish is not right. This is something we have to think and then change it. This is the age of 7. Similarly, when he had a son, his son is called Rahula. Again, when he taught his son at the age of this 6, 7, again, what he taught is that how to take care of this nature. Talking about all the logic. He gave a simile like water is pouring from top to the bottom. And how our mind works. How do we think? So this kind of ECCE education is something that we have to, not putting as a very hard education, but we have to put in this little brain as a process of their development, as a process of how they develop as a human. Because after all, their individuality cannot survive with other people. Say the least, if there's no parents or someone who is not functioning as a parent, their life wouldn't be available at all. So every individual life depends on someone else. We are dependent world. So how can let those kids think of this compassionate idea? Think more commonly, not individually. This is something we have to think very hard about our educations. So in that sense, the education I see for the small kid will be that how can we cultivate calm education in our childhood? Because we see that children are at the moment sometimes bullying, sometimes they are fighting. So how can we create this atmosphere of calming education to those children? This is something we have to think hard. In that sense, I would say that mindfulness is another very big subjects we are talking about, discipline we are talking about. And if you have to say, as a Buddhist, I can proudly say that that is, of course, rooted in Buddhist idea. Because the whole idea of Buddhism is that how to live at the present. Not live at the, in the future, in the past. That is what we used to do. We indulge ourselves in living in the past or living in the future and forget to live here and now. And that is how we can going to teach them. So this is something we have to think hard of our education. Similarly, we have to think of how do we sow the seed of kindness among our children. There's some kind of a practice, there's some kind of a training we are starting in the West already. It's called the Metta Bhavana. This is from Buddhist word. These are the friendly wishes. So how we can teach our school kids to able to think friendly wishes to them. Instead of seeing as competitive, we see as our, dear friend. Able to see them, able to connect each one as a good friends. And from that, we can, expand those circle of a friend to the even the bigger world. There's many trial and sort of a research they have been done. And when the children was trained as to do the meditate on kind of friendly wishes, and they went asked, how do you think of the world? And a small kid says that, world, I just want to see everyone as a friends. When everyone's as a friend, I don't have to fight with anyone. There is no kind of competition. We share things and all those things. You see, the whole idea of a peace is occurred without uttering the word peace in the mind of those small child. And that is something that have to be very natural way of developing those whole ideas. So that's why I say that the peace educations, for in order to being a peaceful being, a peaceful child, is very important. How can we let them know that the peace is not something that we loaded upon them? But how can let them know that the peace is something that you create yourself within your mind and you slowly spread that around you. And immediately you become a peaceful being. So the whole education in that sense, what I see within a very, very short time is that how can we develop this curriculum as a holistic education for this little one? Because at the moment, we are very good at cognitive development. A lot of our disciplines, a lot of our education, emphasize in cognitive development, but less on emotional and spiritual development. This is something we have to balance. Social and emotional learning, SEL, have to be balanced with not only the cognitive development. Because you might be able to be a very, very smart kid, but if he is very selfish, if he is not compassionate, if it is a very, very sort of egocentric, and what's the point of being that? Part of me, I used to teach in the inmates in the prison. And what I see, behavior of those inmates is something that they lack that kind of education from their childhood. Because they said that I first. Because I deal the drug because the society is like that, because I need the money, because I see the friends having those big Mercedes, I see my neighbor has big houses, so I want to have it, so I will do it everything in order to get that. Forgetting the whole idea of spirituality and moral and the ethical point of view. So therefore, that kind of education is how we are going to develop. This is, I think, a part of Your Excellency's job. How we are going to put this kind of seed into the every nations. And especially the last point I would like to raise is that this is a digitalized dilemma at the moment. How we are going to use digitalize in a more creative way. Of course, we can't deny the digital world. It is within us already. But instead of being fall into the part of being the servant controlled by this digital era, how can we use digital world in a more creative way? This is another thing we have to put in our education system for our kids. So just want to leave with all these questions. I don't have any answer for that, of course. But what I try to do is that in my own case, when I have to deal with, when I have an encounter with the kids, this is what I do. This is the education I try to put. Let them, plant the seed of kindness. Let them plant the seed of compassion. Let them plant the seed of kind of erudition where they can learn more and more, able to connect their things as a global citizens, interconnectedness with the things. And this is what I really do in my life. I just want to see those kind of things is more kind of systematized in a more early childhood care educations. So I guess I just want to say it very briefly that educating for humanity requires a paradigm shift in how we perceive and approach educations. By planting the seed of enlightenment from the start, we can nurture individuals who are not only knowledgeable, but also empathetic, ethical, and globally aware. So this is the whole idea I have been trying to put in this paper. My paper is very long, about 10 pages. So this is the whole idea that how we can ask all the collaborations from all educators, policymakers, and communities to embrace and implement holistic education models that prepare future generations to contribute positively to humanity. Thank you very much.